something from the deep, something dark and something mean. Now everybody's dead, it's the Ouija shark.
Hello and welcome to a very spooky episode of the MisanthroPod. MisanthroPod 111. Ooh, spooky!
You phone it to get advice from the NHS.
Yeah! I am a very spooky, sinister Snipe, and as always, I'm joined by the wicked and woeful Wibblet. Say hello.
Yeah, I am pretty terrible. Hello.
And we are also joined by the devious, the disturbing, the percussion doulahan himself, Drummer Matt. Say hello.
Hi.
That's
as spooky as I get, by the way.
That was great. Oh, chilling. I'm sure loads of people have just shit and come out of fear. How are you spooky gentlemen doing today?
All right. I mean, I watched Ouija Shark earlier, so, you know, that's...
Yeah, we all did. We'll get to that.
Yeah. So I'm as okay as I can be. Matt, how are you?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm great for the same reason as you said, but I'm excellent because of it. How are you, Snipe?
And
I am also doing well because of what you two just said. Because Ouija Shark is a fucking experience.
Yes.
so, yes.
We have an interesting, spooky Halloween episode for you here.
Yes, so what we're going to do is... We alluded to this in the last episode, and by alluded to,
You two dogpiled me because I didn't want to do it.
Yeah, we made a terrible plan and then stuck by it.
Well, we had to. If we said it because we've said it a few times before off the podcast and then never got round to it. So if we said it on the recording, we kind of have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we decided to do was, because we had brought up Ouija Shark in a previous episode, we decided that we are going to... We all watch the movie, and we're going to recount the events of it. Very much akin to my other podcast, Men with Funny Heads, but this time it's about a terrible horror movie. So Snipe is going to lead us through the main plot of the movie, and we shall offer our oh-so-amusing commentary to it. If you want to watch Ouija Shark for yourself...
We would recommend watching Ouija Shark first. It's only like an hour and 10 minutes, and you can
and
just
about
watch
half an
it on
hour of
YouTube.
that's various credit scenes. But
Yeah, because it starts up, like, the intro is just, like, old-school credits where they put half of the credits up front.
Yeah, it's straight up. It's like, it's about an hour, the actual
It's about an
movie
hour,
itself.
and you can just watch it on YouTube.
you
and
can,
it's
but
fine.
that's my first thing I was going to say about the film, about watching it on YouTube. In that the frame rate on the YouTube version is a bag of wank.
It's
like,
weird, isn't it?
It's like 10 frames a second or something, or like 15 maybe, but it's definitely below like the 24.
It's actually way more cinematic that way.
If it's 12 frames a second, is it twice as cinematic?
Yes.
Yeah,
that is a bit
watching
weird.
it. I started watching it on YouTube and just couldn't get beyond the intro. I thought I was watching the credit scene at the start which I'm sure Snipe will explain in a minute, but it was so bad. I was like, but maybe it's just a weird intro. So I've got a note here saying, "Wow, the frame rate in the intro is bad. What software are they using?" But then the film started, it was the same. So I ended up watching it in other sources. So. If you can watch it anywhere else, I'd recommend that over the YouTube version.
I'm sure it's available on Amazon Prime Video.
It is, but only if you're in the USA.
Okay, well,
Okay.
there's ways to be in the USA.
Yes.
Yeah, like
it's-
travelling there.
Yep, that's fine.
But yeah, to be honest, because I watched it on YouTube, and yes, the frame rate is bad, but I completely...
kind of like Into the Spider-Verse, where I forgot about it halfway through.
Yeah, basically.
This Ouija Shark is the Into the Spider-Verse of movies. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're going with. It's the Into the Spider-Verse of shark movies.
No, it's just movies.
Just movies.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to go through this whole debacle. Yeah, if you can try and see it, go and watch it for yourself first.
It's worth it.
It is silly and quite enjoyable. So
I can say it is 100% better than I was expecting it to be.
yeah, it's a lot better than I thought.
I mean, yeah, it's bad, but it's
It's entertaining.
it's very.
I was expecting it to be a whole other shade of terrible, and it was it was not that. So I was very happy. So, Snipe, do you want to begin?
The tale into terror and darkness that is Ouija Shark.
Yes. Although they do different characters. Different characters do pronounce it both Ouija and Ouija, depending who they are in the movie.
But also, at one point, one of the characters get called out for pronouncing it wrong.
Yes, but they do also pronounce it. I wrote it down. Hoo-ha.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Okay,
and then they point it out. And then
we're skipping ahead a bit
sorry.
here.
Yeah, okay, go. Yep, Snipe, take the reins. That's
Oh my
terrifying
god,
concept.
did I just wrangle you?
Yeah, right.
It must be a full moon.
it's a special episode. Anything can happen.
It is. Okay, so Ouija Shark starts out with a bunch of bunch of credits over some old spooky tapestries showing big angry sharks and fish and stuff and boats and other spooky shit. And then it finishes off by zooming in on an eye. We see a parking lot with a lady parking up. She dramatically lets the audience know that she's waiting for her friends who just haven't arrived. So she's like, damn it, I'm gonna go anyway, and wanders down the trail.
I will mention the soundtrack that happens as she goes
It's
on.
Kevin MacLeod as fuck.
It is just a Kevin MacLeod song.
It's great. It's, if you've ever played a really shitty indie horror game, you've heard this fucking song.
More importantly, you've heard Kevin MacLeod stuff if you've ever watched YouTube, because all YouTubers use his music at some point.
Yeah,
because
really.
he's the
Because
best
he
person
is
on the internet.
Terrific. And does great. He does us all a very good service. So.
Yeah, it's all royalty-free stuff, so it's fine. I will also point out that this lady that we see, she is wearing a T-shirt of a band called Goat.
Which, spoilers, is a real band.
It's a real band.
Spoilers, there's about 15 bands called
No,
Goats.
but this is a band that does some music for the film.
They do indeed.
They do the end credits, but again, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
But yeah,
I will say,
my note says "Goat shirt is best shirt."
It is a really cool shirt.
It is like a cartoon goat playing like a guitar.
I would 100%.
It's pretty cute, actually.
If I could find that shirt, I would 100% buy it.
I will say the print quality looks pretty heavy. It doesn't look great. It looks like very, that when we're in a fucking band. We've had shirts printed, and there's like certain types of printing and certain types of shirts, and that shirt looks like it would be a comfortable bit of cloth, but the actual like screen print on it was very heavy.
Yeah, I get that. I was going to point out, actually,
that's my biggest criticism to take away.
It's the biggest criticism of Ouija Shark at this point. I will say that one of the things that I wondered when I first started watching this, because the lady you see at the start, who we haven't got a name for yet. She's like, an alt lady, so she's got piercings and tattoos.
Piercings and tattoos. She's dressed in black. She's got great style.
Yeah, which meant that I was assuming when it started that it was going to exist in that weird alternate universe that a lot of super cheap horror movies exist in, where because it's populated entirely by the director's friends, you just have to accept that in this world everyone has long hair, piercings and tattoos.
Well, I mean, it's like
even if it's like a priest.
It's like you stated earlier. Like the Venn diagram of like horror fans and metalheads is a circle.
Yeah, they are two nearly perfectly overlapping circles.
Yeah, exactly. So I totally get it. But yeah, she gets cranky that her friends aren't like there, so she wanders off into the forest and towards what she refers to as a beach. Whereas it just looks like a shitty lake.
It's in Canada.
And the thing is, okay, so it's really funny. She she's like very cranky about how her friends have just not showed up yet. So she's just like, sod it, I'm going to go to the beach myself. And she puts the towel down on the beach that is made of grey slate in the shade. And it's like, well, I'm going to catch some rays. And I'm like, where? Where from? Where are you going to get these mystical rays, Deborah?
This is filmed in Ottawa in, November.
Yeah, and it's like, you feel really bad for her because she's like, she lies down. And I like how, at this point, the actress is acting. And this is all meant with, fun. Because it is a silly movie and it's a silly premise. And I don't expect, fucking Citizen Kane out of them.
Yeah, I mean, none of the actors were paid. So
Yeah.
They were absolutely
I know,
not.
I can think of one that absolutely fucking shouldn't have been.
yes, but we'll get to
You
that.
all know who I'm talking about, but I'm
Yeah.
not gonna, yeah. And, like, her acting consists of pursing her lips to the side. And just being like, And that's just showing her displeasure.
She does seem to be very angry all the time throughout the movie.
Well, she's so angry it translates to like she sends her anger to the camera. So when it's any moving shots, the camera is amazingly shaky. And it can't be that they had a cheap camera with no stabilization. It must be her
No, that's
anger.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, it's just because she's angry. Yeah. So she gets into this horrible, ugly fucking body of water. And suddenly you get like an underwater shot, like there's something stalking her. But now I don't know if it's just the version I was watching or the fact that, I mean, I was wearing my glasses, but I could tell that it was supposed to be like something kind of like swimming around her ankles, but I could barely see any human shapes at all. I just inferred there was a difference in colour.
That's just because they put it in the actual water that was there, so it was really murky.
It was piss-coloured water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was gross, and I thought, oh, there's a shark in there, and it's like booping her with its snoot. I was like, oh, that's what that is. No, she kind of like she goes because she feels something touch her, and then goes to leave. And then as she's like nearly out of the water, a perfectly pristine, non-waterlogged, wood-burnt Ouija board just pokes her in the ankle, and she freaks out and is like, oh, okay.
What I most like about it is how the Ouija board, the titular Ouija board,
Yes.
it's been cut on the edges to
It
try and
looks
make
like
it.
someone's cut down, like, you know, like, because I grew up in kind of like a small town, and you'd be like walking down the road, and there'd be like these really shitty signs like hammered out the end of really long like driveways with like horse manure, like 3 pounds a bag. It looks like they've stolen one of those and just burnt a Ouija board thing into
No.
it.
I disagree wholly there. This looks
Really?
no. This looks like it is trying to be that and failing
Well,
because
yeah,
this
it's
is
too clean.
because this is a pristine piece of wood that they were like, we want it to look like it's a splintered piece of wood that's been burnt onto.
But they just jaggedly cut at the ends with like a jigsaw.
No, they didn't even jaggedly cut. They neatly cut it to look jagged, and you can see that is an edge. Like someone spent time making that edge.
Someone's gone through all the grades of sandpaper.
Yeah, they made that edge smooth so it wasn't going to hurt anyone during filming. But it just does. It just means that it undermines the premise a little bit because it's like
also
so pristine.
Plot hole. Later in the movie, that's shown to have a planchette, which we'll get to. Where does the planchette come from?
You know, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah,
you are 100% right.
She
there.
just puts. It's just the Ouija board, and she puts the Ouija board in a bag because she's like, "Yeah, I'll just put fucking driftwood in my bag. This is probably fine." I mean, I guess, like, there's not much to do in Ottawa in November.
She also, when she gets out of the water, instantly puts her
Yeah,
clothes...
she instantly puts her clothes over a bikini, and I was like,
you'll get your clothes wet.
It made me cringe so hard, because, like, especially in, like, a colder climate, because, like, later it's shown to just have, like, fucking snow on the ground, and...
Really? I didn't notice
Yeah,
snow on
there's
the ground.
literally snow on the ground in, like, the latter part of the movie.
I didn't notice that.
Well, I did,
Because the shark's so cold.
The shark's cool. He's a stone cold killer. Anyway, so she's like, oh no, oh well, I guess I'll just put this presumably unhaunted Ouija board that I just found that apparently has eyes. Because it was like, you were seeing from the Ouija board's perspective, and it was like booping her. I thought it was like the shark, but it's from the Ouija board's perspective.
I guess it is, yeah.
Which is, I mean, fine, but it's a little bit weird.
I mean, I guess you can kind of... that does kind of make sense. In a weird way.
I am just being nitpicky and silly, but yeah. So she gets out, and she puts her clothes on immediately, making everybody cringe. And she gets a jump scare phone call.
With the loudest ringtone I've ever heard.
The loudest fucking ringtone. And it's like a ringtone from, like, the early 2000s. It is such a... Oh, that is such a ratchet ringtone. I'm gonna neg this ringtone. But yeah, and like, and her friend's like, and she's like, okay, I've gone to the wrong place. Okay, well, how far is it on foot? And you're like, okay, so she's gonna leave a car in the car park, and and she'll go around. And then it cuts to, like, a group of girls going into a house, which is, like, we learn the main character's name is Jill, and she approaches the group of girls and goes, wow, those were some shitty directions. And I'm sitting there going, you were going to spend, like, a weekend at a house with a pool. You ended up in a park that had a shit beach. Yes, those were some fuck-ass directions.
I mean, I kind of got the impression that I got from that was that they were going to meet up in the car park, go to the beach, and then go to the house. That's the impression that I got.
I just thought that it was just really shit directions.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Either way, that lake/park is nowhere near the suburb that this house is in.
No, absolutely not. I'm suspending my disbelief because that's not the most unbelievable thing in this movie.
I do want to make a couple of points here. One is that the phone call, obviously...
she is so fucking angry. She's like, seriously, she's like, where are you? We were supposed to meet there. Where were you? And she's just so mad.
She is very, very mad on the phone. And
that's why the camera starts shaking.
And then when it then cuts to the house where you see the group of girls, all walking up to the house, because you see there's four, it's like a group of four, and then Jill joins them after a bit.
Yeah, because Jill is friends with one of them, and
yeah, I'll tell you what. Shall I run through the names of these characters? Because
I couldn't hear them. I think. I remember Jill, but the thing is, like, the sound balancing in this movie is pretty terrible. And even with my hearing aids in TV mode, at full volume, I was having trouble.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what they are.
Okay.
So the main character is called Jill. Her friend, who's
the only person she knows.
Who's like the main person who's brought all these people together is a girl called Kim. And then there's three other friends who are called Tiffany. Don't worry about her; she doesn't come up that much.
The hyperactive, terrible actress who's actually she is so happy to be there.
Yeah, there's Donna and Jan.
It was Jam.
Jam.
Yeah, because I watched it with the closed captions on.
You mean the closed captions that YouTube automatically generated?
Yeah, and the thing is, it kept, like, when she was in the water at the start of the movie, it kept thinking that the water lapping was the sound of applause. So, like, it was so funny, because it's like, the thing hits her leg, and she's like, ah! And it's just square brackets, applause. And I'm like, who is applauding?
Also,
am I that deaf?
Also, there's a really strange little shot right at this point when they're walking up to the house. It's Tiffany is on her phone filming, and it shows you some perspective.
Oh yeah, she's just filming for some reason.
Yeah, she's filming, and so it shows you from the perspective of her phone, and so you kind of think, is this going to have like a found footage aspect? No, completely dropped.
Never comes up again.
Isn't raised again. I'm wondering if that was something that they put in, and then...
That feels like, when you're writing a script and you go back and it goes through a lot of different edits, and then there's like a little, like, hair that's left in of, like, a little plot thing that's left in. That feels like that.
Maybe. But yeah, anyway, let's move on.
Yeah. So she goes up and they're all like, oh, hi, Jill. And, they introduce each other. And then they're immediately like, let's go to the pool. And Jill's like, I will make the beverages.
Yeah, the one thing I found strange about Jill in this, when she gets to this environment, is that she varies between being kind of pissed off with everyone and being, helpful to an unreasonable degree.
Yeah, she's just like, oh, I'll make the drinks.
I'll make the food, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that. And being pissed off at everyone at all of the time.
Yeah, she's kind of just like flip-flopping back and forth. Tiffany's like, oh, I'm gonna fuck off to the pool, and then ends up staring at the neighbor who's washing his car. And can I just say, one of my favorite parts of this movie is that these people are just people. They're not perfectly chiseled Adonises and Aphrodites. They're literally just like, they're people shaped, and it's nice. And like the guy washing the car, like Tiffany pops her head around and literally is just like biting her lip and dry humping the trellis, like just like
she's like she does look and she stops just short of saying me likey.
Yeah, really.
I mean, are you surprised? Have you seen how nice his Honda is?
I mean, you could tell because he washes it for like 12 hours a fucking day. I'm surprised it's got any paint on it.
Yeah, there's just this
And he is so into washing that car. He's got the hose with the trigger on it and a sponge, and he's just like, yeah! Every time I clean my car, I can ejaculate.
I refer to this guy as Nodding Man, by the way. I don't know if he has a
he nods
canon
a lot.
name, but his name is Nodding Man as far as I'm concerned.
He nods a lot, and like Tiffany is flooding her basement, and she's like, "Hey, do you need a hand?" And he's like turns around like he's in a Mentos commercial. He's like, "Yeah."
Well, he turns around and he looks like for a second like he's weighing it up and goes, "Okay."
Yeah. And then like there's like an awkwardly long car washing montage where Tiffany is suddenly topless. She's suddenly in like her bra, and then like they're having like the slow motion kind of like splash fight, and it's actually it feels like it's a joke, which makes it even funnier.
Yeah, I think
it's so funny.
I think the fact that it goes on for so long is part of the joke because both of the actors doing this scene are obviously taking the piss.
And it works so well. It's so fun to watch. It's so cute. And then like you see what's her name? Kim.
Well, it should be noted that you actually get that scene of the extended car wash scene actually does come after
you get
the
it.
next couple of scenes.
Yeah. But I just had to talk about it because it was just so like,
We've
okay.
got to maintain the continuity of Ouija Shark.
I've never done this before.
It's important.
I'm trying my best. I'm trying my bestest.
While we're on the car wash music is excellent as well.
Yeah, that was contrapuntal as fuck. So contrapuntal music, for those who didn't go to film school, I mean, I didn't go to film school, I just had to take some film classes as part of my game dev course, but anyway, is basically music that doesn't fit the scene and what you're being shown. So the example we were given from a movie was the face-off scene where there's that big shootout in Castor Troy's, like, house, and the little boy is wearing headphones, and he's listening to Somewhere of the Rainbow, and it's just showing you all this horrifying this horrifying murderous shootout, and it's like this very sweet song. That's contrapuntal sound. That's contrapuntal music even. And that's what the car wash music felt like to me.
Really? It felt 100% fitting. It was cheesy butt rock whilst watching a car wash scene.
It felt a bit sinister to me, the music. It felt sad.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't
like,
get that.
oh.
That is.
But I still had fun with the scene.
When in any movie, when I see like like this kind of weird quote unquote sexy
it should have
car
been playing
wash,
if they could have gotten the rights. This is like in a perfect world. It should have been playing Miss Hilton.
I'm not actually familiar with that song.
I can't remember who it's by, but it was in so many fucking like teen movies, like mid 2000s. 3 years ago.
But no, I 100% I 100% disagree. It is entirely fitting to have terribly recorded butt rock.
I mean, it was like chug chug chug, washing the car, chug chug chug, washing the car in my bra, chug 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 chug. So that was basically.
Why can't we cover that as a band?
It was the washing my car in my bra song, and it was perfect for that. So yeah, I disagree. I did not get any sinister tones from it.
I didn't say it was sinister. I said it sounded kind of sad. It was a little bit melancholic. It's like, I'm washing a car in my bra.
For reference, those aren't actually the lyrics, but it was basically that.
It was basically that, yeah. Out here in the car.
Yeah, I feel that maybe you've got some unresolved issues with car washers that meant that you've gone into it with a sadder like interpretation.
You ain't never washed a car.
I have washed a car, yes.
Sucks.
It does suck, but
nothing sexy about it. I was
misled.
But
those two are definitely going to fuck afterwards. So I guess that like makes it a little bit more fun for them. This is car foreplay for them.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's talk about the scene that happens just before this.
Yeah, okay. So Kim and I refer to her as Blondie.
Her name is Jan.
Her name is Jam.
Jan with an N.
And they're like talking, like hinting about like Jill's dark backstory, and Jill is like, "Hey, I can hear you," Like, she
She's
didn't
just
even
like-
need to move into the frame. She was just already there when they started talking about her.
Maybe this is why, like, Jill is so pissed off all the time,
mean,
because
fair.
people just do that to her, or, like,
I
constantly.
mean, I'd just be like, wow, if you want to ask me, just fucking ask me, which I think she does kind of basically say.
What I like is that at no point does it elaborate on what her dark backstory is.
Oh no, it's hinted at later, but honestly, we'll get to that.
Yeah, but it doesn't say anything about the event.
No, it doesn't.
'Cause it's
not the event. It's very ominous. There's an event.
Like, there's some...
And then
she's-
it's just never... Maybe it's like Tiffany's recording. That's just another loose thread in the wind.
Maybe.
Yeah. So then there's a montage of them playing in the pool with rock music. And then it's the sexy car wash scene. And in my notes here, it just says, no car has ever been that dirty. Which I agree with.
The car didn't start dirty, but it ended up dirty.
Yeah, it did. So they're talking about, like, you know, getting food and, like... And... No, they're not.
No, they're not.
No, they're not. So, like, you know, Jill goes for a lie down and has a Ouija shark nightmare, where we first see the Ouija shark. And she's like, that was scary. Oh, well. So, after they've eaten, with these perfectly pristine plates...
Yeah, right, that's my note as well. I was like, that was really delicious food. Here, I've obviously had nothing.
Yeah, it's like
They
literally
lick-
these plates are so... They had, like,
They lick
grilled...
their plates clean.
Even
And then wipe the lick off. There's like, they're not even shiny because they're wet with
I'm
lick.
sorry, they've wiped the lick off.
Yeah.
And they're not even wet with lick.
Yeah, you heard.
I wish I hadn't. Oh my god. So yeah, no, like literally they've had grilled hot dogs. And anyone who's ever been to a barbecue knows that hot dogs are like they're like the hairpins of food. That shit gets everywhere. And you don't put it in your hair. That's not good. And
What are you talking about?
hairpins.
This does demonstrate the amazing budget restraints they had because they couldn't even afford barbecue food to
They
like,
couldn't even
have
afford
leftovers of.
catering. So they're all fucking starving all the time.
Oh, I'll talk about the budget of this film once we're done. Like, it's a thing.
But yeah, and they're like, oh, I am famished. I'm anti-famished from all the food we ate. What do we do now? We're bored because, you know, they're like, well, we'll be drinking all night, sure, but what else do we do? And Jill's like, oh, hey, I found this probably not haunted Ouija board, and then the fucking planchette just materialized in my bag. Want to play that? And there's like, oh my god, Weed Girl, I've dubbed her.
Her name is Donna.
Her name is Weed Girl. She's super into weed. That's her
Yeah, that's
personality.
her. That's it.
Yeah, she smokes the reefer, and that's literally it. I don't know why she sounds like she's like a 92-year-old Brooklyn man, but that's just my headcanon.
Yeah.
And she's like immediately super against it. She's like, no, I'm scared of this stuff. I don't like it. And then Jill, from sitting around a circular table, goes, come on, we need to sit in a circle. And goes and sits in a square on the floor.
Yeah.
And they pull out a planchette that
didn't
has
even notice
no...
that.
Yeah, the planchette has no wayfinder. Which is the thing you're supposed to hover... Like, the spirit or fucking whatever it is, the shark in this case, that we can establish actually can speak English.
Yeah.
And comprehend English. Because it communicates with them through the board. And it's like, there's no hole where you can see it. It's
Yeah,
just
I think
a
they were just using the point. It's
Using
a
the pointed part of it.
heart ornament, which is blatantly just. I think it must have been lying around the house because it's exactly one of those like naff ornaments that your aunt has lying around the house, right?
Yeah.
I should
guess
probably
he must
point
have
out. I should probably point out that a planchette does not inherently have to have a hole in it.
No,
because I looked this up.
like, you can use a glass. That's an old thing. You use a glass.
But the
turn
problem
around.
is, of course, because it hasn't.
And also, if you look through it, you see ghosts.
Yeah, because it
So
hasn't.
if you look at the top of it, it's like a crosshair, and you're like, "I've got you in my sight, ghost."
Okay.
And the ghost is like, "I don't even know what Overwatch is. I'm a Victorian child because we all are, for some reason."
I mean, this is a shark, so.
Well, maybe it's you know how, like, every fucking carnival psychic huckster is like, you were a lady in waiting in your previous life. That's what the shark's like. It was a lady in waiting in its previous life. It was still a shark.
Okay, I'm going to pull us back to the plot of the film that we're trying to recount.
Okay, I think my plot is way cooler.
Okay,
for sure.
I just wanted to say, because if you're not aware, when you use a Ouija board, the little like device that you put on it that usually has a hole in it for you to look through is called a planchette. Apparently, they like derived from like an old novelty drawing device because they'd have wheels on them.
Oh, that's fun.
And they'd have a pen in one end of it, and that's like how they'd work.
So basically, it's
pencil,
busted ass spirograph.
Kinda.
Could you do a Ouija board with a spirograph? That would be fucking hilarious. It's like, is there anyone with us? Spiral. Okay.
Okay, I'm really trying to get to the end of this point because you've got to recount this, and you're tangenting now.
Okay, go.
But yeah, they don't. They will often have a circle in them that you can look through. It's usually got like a bit of glass inside. Now, because this one doesn't have it, and because there's 4 people surrounding it with their hands all on it to move it, because when you do a Ouija board, everyone like holds their hands on the planchette, and then it moves to spell things out. Because there's no hole in the middle of it, and because there's hands all around it, they're telling you what it's saying, but you can't see it because there's too many hands and the planchette is so fucking large.
Yeah, it is bigger than their hands.
It is so... You literally can't see a damn thing.
It is gratuitously large. And also, like, Weed Girl keeps taking her hands off the thing, and, like, she mentioned, like, she's like, oh, yeah, I know how to use... What was it? She calls it... I've written it a Woo Heel board?
She calls it a hoo-how board.
A hoo-ha board.
Yeah, hoo-how board. Hoo-how, hoo-ho.
Hoo-how,
yeah.
what, where?
Yeah.
A what, where board, yeah. And she literally mentions the movie Ouija, like, twice in, like, 3 minutes. And she's like, no, I know how to use one because I've seen that movie. You know that movie? Where they have the Ouija board? You know that movie? And it's like, yeah, Ouija house. We've all seen it. Yeah. And, like, so she keeps, like, going, I don't like it, I'm scared. And then, like, angry Jill keeps shouting at her to put her hands on it. Acting as if, like, if she takes her hands off, something bad's going to happen. But we all know that something bad's going to happen anyway.
What I find really funny is that Jill's like, oh yeah, I mean, this is how you do it. I mean, I Googled it or whatever.
Yeah, she's like, well, we Googled it.
She acts like she doesn't know anything about it, but we find out later that she should have way more knowledge about it.
Yeah.
It's weird how little she implies she knows about it.
I mean, you could no-prize it and say that she's just, like, she's embarrassed about her, like, her link to all this stuff, so she's pretending that she Googled it.
Maybe.
But, I mean, yeah.
But it doesn't explain why she's so flippant about doing it.
No. But, okay, so back on track. They somehow get messages from the ghost shark, and it just keeps spelling out the word hungry.
Like, how did you die? Hungry.
Yeah. And then it starts, like, shaking and, like, freaking out, and then there's some, like, Xena warrior princess levels of, like, CGI happens, and you see, like, a little Ouija shark jump up from the center of the board, and everyone's like, oh god!
You only see it very briefly, so you don't get the full...
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that. I saw, like, a flash or something, but I didn't notice that.
Yeah, there's, like, a little
shark.
Tiny, like, projection of the shark there, just going...
Ah, okay.
Yeah, you only see it very briefly, so you don't get to fully enjoy the majesty of Ouija shark yet.
Also, like, Jill's like, who's gonna die first? And then it spells out hungry.
It doesn't actually respond after that.
Doesn't it?
No, it doesn't
then
respond.
it just goes nuts and makes and just pops
That's
out the
after
Ouija board.
when she asks that. That's afterwards. It just is lifeless at that point.
Yeah.
I watched it like an hour ago. So,
Okay,
yeah.
fine. Then it is nighttime, and the girls have just left this thing in the fucking garden because apparently it's the most waterproof shit in the world. And we see that Jill is dreaming, but we don't see what she's dreaming. And she's having a nightmare, and then she wakes up to a start after having a flash of a shark swimming towards her with its mouth open. And, like, her first thought is to call her father, who is a resident evil NPC. Let me see if I can... this is a direct quote from him. She phones him up and she's like, hey, Dad, are you awake? And he's like, yeah, I'm still awake. Everything okay? And she's like, no, I had this horrible
You're
nightmare.
putting far too much emotion into him already.
Yeah, I am already acting way better than this man is. And, like, this quote is so fucking hilarious. But yeah, she's like, Dad, I had a dream and it had a shark in it and it was really scary and horrible. And he goes, dreams can be a doorway to the unconscious mind. I've told you that before.
Tell me about it.
Tell me about it. He's so bad.
It's quite funny you mention he sounds like a Resident Evil NPC because he was literally in, like, Resident Evil 2.
as a zombie.
Yeah, the
Really?
movie.
The movie, yeah.
This guy, her dad, Jill's dad, is the worst actor in the movie.
He's appalling, but it's so fucking hilarious.
He is in the film because he wrote the film.
I don't know. He's not.
He's the co-writer of it.
Oh my god,
Was
really?
he?
Yeah, according
shit.
to from the credits at the end, it says it was.
Oh shit! Okay,
Which explains, I guess, the only reason he's here.
He's got the most prolific acting career of anybody in this movie.
Really?
Yeah. He's been in a shitload, usually just playing zombies, admittedly. But he is the most experienced actor in this movie.
And that's depressing because he's also the worst.
He is the worst.
Not even like, I don't know, like it's somehow bad than just. Oh yeah, I can't even
It
summarize
feels
how
like
bad he
you
is.
couldn't act badly. You couldn't act that badly on purpose.
No. No, you
what
really
I
couldn't.
what I really like is that when she tells him like, "Oh yeah, I've been dreaming of."
Oh, another thing is really creepy that she keeps calling him daddy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, call him bruh, don't call him daddy.
But
Fucking hell.
she tells him like, I've been dreaming of a shark and all this, and his response is like, "I'm not familiar with that kind of manifestation. I'll have to do some research."
Yeah, and then she's like, oh, by the way, I was fucking around with a Ouija board, and he's like, what have I told you about Ouija boards? And she's like, I know, Dad, it's just a game. And he's like, I'll do some research. And then it's the morning, and there's a super fucking awkward couple.
We know it's
walking
the
a
morning
trail
because of the
together.
stock footage of the sunrise.
Yeah, the sun rises on fucking like Shutterstock.com, and we're like, oh shit. So yeah, these two awkward fucking people are like, obviously they're on a date, and they go and they're sitting underneath like one of those like picnic areas that's got like what do they call it? It's like a lid for
Like
a
an awning.
house. Yeah,
A
like
gazebo.
A gazebo. And she's like, I'm gonna take off my top and get some rays. They are fully in the shade. And she just takes the top off, and like seriously, her right boob is like halfway out. Like her bikini top just does not fit. And I was like watching that, going, "Please tuck that back in. That is giving me anxiety. I don't want your boob popping out while you're badly acting about Ouija shark." And like this guy's obviously trying to tell her that he wants her to be his girlfriend or something. And they do the classic kind of like, I brought you all the way out here to ask you, and then he looks over towards the camera and goes, what the hell is that? And she goes, you brought me out here to ask me what the hell is that? Oh my god, why would you do that? What are you even like? And it just goes on way too long. And it turns around, and it's just Ouija shark being like, sup.
I would like Matthew to give us a full description of, because we now see Ouija shark in its full glory. I want you to describe.
And it is glorious.
I want you to describe how Ouija shark appears.
Ouija shark is. I don't even know how I can do this.
He is.
He just is. He's just there, and he's floating in the air.
It's like got a blue wobbly
It's
effect
got like
on
a
it.
yeah.
It's a
it
force
looks
ghost.
It's a force. Oh my god, the shark is a Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah, ghost shark.
He's a Jedi. He's a Jedi ghost shark. I love
And
it.
he's just somehow floating
just
there in the sky with like
in a clearing.
the shark equivalent of a shit-eating grin on his face.
Very obvious puppet Jedi ghost shark.
It's a really basic like shark puppet.
Which actually makes it so much better.
It's the same one they use throughout the whole movie. It's just like a base thing, but it's like a full shark. So,
Yeah. It's a whole,
would you? I should probably mention the budget here, actually. So,
yeah.
Obviously, it was in the tens of thousands.
so this movie, this entire movie, cost $300 to make.
That sounds like one crew trip to
Now,
Chipotle.
Guess how
if
much of that is the shark?
$200 of it is the shark, and this is
shit.
presumably, because this is a Canadian movie, this is presumably Canadian dollars, which means the entire movie was made for about £175. So this is why I actually cannot really say anything bad about Ouija shark, because
Practical effects.
because I sit there and I go, if I just pulled £175 out of my bank account and decided to just make a movie, it would come out vastly worse than this.
I mean, yeah, you say that, and yeah, I will spend most of the time watching this, and at the end, I was like, we could definitely make a film that's at least that entertaining for that budget. and I kind of want to do it.
Oh, we could ask him for permission to do Ouija Shark 2.
Yes.
Like, I don't know.
Ouija harder.
Oh god, no. like assault on like the Tower of London or something. That would be pretty fun. But anyway, yeah, the ghost is just fucking hanging out.
Just floating around.
So they separate immediately, and it gets a bit meta. Because the shark chases the dude, which I love the
Well,
chase
first,
scenes.
you've missed the excellent line of, is that a shark or a ghost?
Yeah,
As if
I
either
forgot
of those
that.
options is a reasonable option.
Yeah, it's like, okay, is that a shark or a ghost? Because if it was a shark, I'd be like, okay, that's a shark. And if it was a ghost, I'd be like, alright, that's some ghostly
it's the
apparition.
uncertainty.
But it's a
Both?
But it's a ghost shark.
Fucking hellfire. But yeah, and it chases the guy, and she just goes, oh, thank God, it's going after him first. And it's like, wow. Okay. And like, I love the chase scenes in this, because it's just, they film the ghost shark with like a shaky cam, like face first, and then they put all the effects on it, and then they just have the fucking cameraman just chasing the fucking actor down.
Yeah.
It's but sometimes you see like the nose of the shark underneath the camera. Or there's like, when you first see it, the fin keeps getting in the way of the camera, so I was like, I can't fucking see it. What the fuck? Is that a shark? Is that a dolphin with bad teeth? What am I looking at?
Well, the movie's called Ouija Shark, so I think they assumed a little bit of the audience at that point.
Maybe, but yeah. So he's
Yeah, the chase
Ouija
scenes
shark-
are, I think, my favourite bit.
They are.
No,
they
sorry.
are pretty nuts.
The film goes places later, and that's my favourite bit. But throughout the main bit of the film, the chase scenes are the best bit.
Yeah. So, like, guy, like, gets tired, and he waits at a tree, and then he turns around, and Ouija Shark is just like,
Yeah,
Hey.
and have you noticed, every single time anyone's running away from the shark and then ends up hiding behind a tree, they don't hide behind it, they just hide in
they
front of the tree.
They
I have a
run,
theory.
approach the tree, they touch the tree, and then they turn
then they
around
turn
and go, well, I
around.
guess I'll breathe.
Like, at
I
least
have a
stand the other side of the tree, right? I know
Yeah.
ghosts can probably go through trees, and they probably know that.
I have a theory, which is that
Okay.
the people in this movie all suffer from a rare condition that means that they are magnetized to trees.
That's a very real condition.
Because
that
a lot,
would
a lot of
explain a lot.
Canadians are affected by that, actually.
I think on at least 3 occasions, people are killed purely because they choose.
To
They
stop
seemingly choose to stop at a tree.
yeah.
Maybe the trees in that part of the country are just really sexy, because they all have to have both their palms on them.
Yeah, they'll have to like really get up
I guess you
against
could call
the tree.
them palm trees.
So the shark eats the bloke.
No. He does not eat the bloke. So the shark lunges towards the guy with its mouth open, and it growls like an angry bee. The shark growls, and the thing is, then he's telefragged by the ghost shark.
Yeah,
it telefrags him.
He jump cut eats people.
Yeah, it's like a big flash of white light, and suddenly the shark and the dude are gone. And then we cut back to the girl, and she's just walking along the road with like a stick going, come on, you've already eaten. You can leave me alone. And the shark's just like, no. And then it just telefrags her. But this time,
This
like a mannequin hand covered in like Caro syrup just is launched at a fucking tree.
Yeah, every
And
now
you're
and
like, okay, every now and again you do leave like blood and gore behind, but a lot of the time it's literally just Ouija Shark just raptures them or teleports them to the fucking shadow
he
realm.
raptures people away. He is this shark died for our sins.
Jesus, shark dude. Are you suggesting that Jesus would fucking telefrag you if he got the chance? I mean, fair.
I mean, did anyone else here go to a Church of England school? I think I know a lot, but I know a lot more about Christianity
I
than
went
most
to a
people here.
weekend coven retreat.
So you went to a cult?
Yeah. It was literally like, you went to like a convent, and I dragged my parents there, and my dad, being the shit cunt that he is, said something really stupid, and they basically were like, okay, we're not speaking for 2 days now. Basically, we're like, oh no, we're all doing silence until Monday. And they got really mad at me for sneaking into the kitchen and eating all their wafers.
They shouldn't make wafers so delicious.
They shouldn't make them so fucking tasty. And also, like, I think I was sent to bed for that dinner. I probably did something really stupid, like, I don't know, like clog a toilet or something, like, deliberately, because I was bored. But, you know.
Okay.
That child's got the devil in her! And I'm like, not yet. Play my cards right, I'll see how it goes. Because I want to fuck the devil.
Okay.
I feel that he'd be a very good lover. You just grab him by the horns and just pound his ass.
Okay, so two people have died.
So 2 people die. Weed Girl wakes up the next morning, because this is the next morning, and just goes and smokes a weed. And she...
Her name's Donna, by the way.
Who cares? She's going to die in a minute anyway. She smokes a weed, which is very powerful weed, because immediately she's fucking off her tits high. And apparently, because she smokes weed all the time, so, you know, she's doing a bit of a wake and bake.
Yeah.
And she goes and sits in the pool, and is like, she starts, like, talking to someone, and then she just stops and goes, huh, you don't see that every day. And then it just cuts to Ouija Shark hovering over the pool, being like, hey. So that made me fucking laugh. That was so...
Just hang it out.
Especially because she's such a bad actress. She's like, now there's something you don't see every day. And it's just a Ouija Shark hovering there. And she's like, you want a little smoky?
You know, she's like,
You want
hey,
a toki, you want some weed? And the shark's like...
What she says is like, she just goes, oh, that's something he does every day. Do you want a hit?
And the shark's like, "Urgh." And then it goes up close to her, and she's like waving this fucking like blunt in front of the shark, and you can hear it audibly sniffing, like, and it's like, it's really not impressed.
So Ouija Shark gets high.
So Ouija Shark gets high, and then just fucking murders her.
She does sit there, and she's like,
She's like, oh, yeah, I think you're a figment. And then it's just like, wow, fuck you, lady. Not only do you have really shit weed, but you're also really unfunny.
And then, the shark raptures her away.
And it raptures
so
her
it's
away.
fine.
And then, like, you know, I've got in my notes, the sky moves a bit.
Stop clouds.
Yeah, stop clouds moving to signal the passage of time. And then, like, Blondie's outside being super hungover with Kim, and then Jill comes out and is like, let's get brekkie. Because I say brekkie all the time, it's really cute. So it's like, I'm surprised they haven't gone to get some Tims. See, get that? That's the Letterkenny. Yeah, that's great.
It's just a Canadian thing.
Yeah, really. So yeah, they're like, oh yeah, I guess we'll go get brekkie.
I actually kind of like this little scene.
It's very real, isn't it? Like, anyone who's been to a house party, like the next morning, how it's just all quiet and everyone's a bit kind of worse for wear, and you're all like, and it's always colder than you'd expect and fresher. So I remember like going out in the morning and just having a cigarette and being like,
yeah,
then you sit with other people and just kind of be with a hot cuppa.
Yeah,
and like having a cigarette. And
I genuinely,
it's actually really
to
nice.
give the movie some like credit. This is actually a point at which I think it actually does 100% capture the feeling of that in real life.
The morning after a big party.
They did good there. Like, not ironically, they actually just genuinely did good.
They managed to capture it perfectly. So yeah, they're like, no brekkie, and they're like, okay, Blondie, I'm Blondie, and I'm gonna go get brekkie. So she's like, I'll just walk down the road, and I'm sure they had a car.
Yeah, she says the shop's a few miles back, and like, as much as I'd advocate walking to the shop if it's within like, you know, a half-hour walk, if it's miles down the road, and you're not even sure how many miles.
I think
the thing is, like, you're in Canada, there's a Tim Hortons literally 500 meters away. Wherever you are, I don't care. Go get some Tims. You're fine.
I believe the implication is that their cars are all parked at the car park on the other side of the forest.
Yeah, but that will be quicker because she goes through the forest.
But they unpack their bags from the car on the driveway.
Oh shit! Yeah, you're right.
Like,
so maybe
unless the car's maybe Ouija Shark raptured the car.
Maybe it's just out joyriding. Maybe Ouija Shark went to Tim's.
She just wanted the exercise.
I mean, yeah, to be fair, they were drinking like wine coolers and shit, and those have a lot of calories in them, so I get one. And like, you know, it does help with hangovers and stuff, so I get it. Yeah, fair play. So she goes and wanders off.
I did like a point there because Jill says, like, I'll tell you what, at the very least, we'll clear the table so it's clear for you when you get back.
We'll
there's
do this really hard job.
There's literally
2 cups.
There's three cups on the table.
But yeah, like, oh, this is going to be like.
I love it how it's like, no, it's the least we can do. It's like, it literally is, yes.
It is, yeah.
If you did anything else, you just wouldn't do anything.
Doing nothing would be approximately the same level of effort.
Yeah. But yeah, then it cuts to, like, Resident Evil, like, Alpha Team Dad, who is, like, just Googling Angel Fire websites about shark totems. And he's, like he's reading all this stuff about ghost sharks aloud, and he's
Why
like,
would anyone want to summon a shark?
I literally wrote that in my notes as well. Why would anyone want to summon a shark? It's like, and then he pulls out his freshly printed tarot cards that are just printed.
He's 5 minutes earlier printed off and then cut up himself.
Printed out and then cut up himself.
I went and checked on Canadian Amazon. It cost you about $20-$25 to buy a decent.
Is a big proportion of the film.
It costs so much less than that because, like, the standard Raider-weight deck, which is not what they're using. That's the if anyone's ever seen, like,
remember we are talking Canadian dollars.
$22 did you say?
Oh, 22 Canadian dollars is like, what, like a tenner or something?
300. Okay. So if the budget of this film was like 100 million, to like a Hollywood film, they would have spent like $70,000 on.
Yeah, they probably would have done, just to have like a person sit there and print shit out.
I'm just saying, I find it strange that like they didn't even know anyone they could borrow one off.
Yeah, it's like, come on, like you obviously like horror movies and like metal. There will be at least one person in every group of 4 metalheads will have a pack of tarot cards.
In any group of friends, at least one of the friends has probably got a tarot deck.
Yeah. I mean,
even if they've only got it, like, ironically or whatever.
Yeah. And then, like, he basically is like, I'll do the 3-card thing, which he does wrong. So he just pulls 3 cards, and it's like, no, there's 3 cards, one's supposed to represent the past, the present, and the future. And they are so amusingly literal.
I'd like to, because I did make the note of everything. Because they're supposed to be the past, present, and the future, and he says it, but then instantly disregards it.
Yeah.
Because it's the past is the world, and he goes,
well, for me, Jill is the world. And you're like, who are you trying to convince, dude?
And then the present is
the devil.
Which he says, well, that's the shark.
He's just decided it's the shark. It's like, this is giving you no new information.
And then the future is death. And then there's nothing more said about it. And I guess it does.
He's just like,
I guess it does kind of work, but like having Jill as the past, it just doesn't really make any sense.
I mean, she existed in the past.
I mean, yeah, but it's not entirely relevant to what he's trying to figure out. And it's, again, literally no information. He's just like, okay, yeah, the tarot cards are saying I have a child. Yep. It's also saying that there's an evil shark present. Yeah, there is. An evil shark who wishes to do my daughter harm. And then it's like the last one is death, and he's like, yep.
That's probably bad.
I knew that. It's like, wow, what's his name? Anthony or some shit?
What?
The dad's name is like Anthony.
Is he given a name?
He is given a name.
I totally missed that.
I didn't.
Okay.
I never miss anything to do with Anthony.
I just called him... I mean, to be fair, I
just called him NPC Dad.
I love how he just exists in a different realm.
I hear the guild is hiring.
He exists in a completely different realm to all other, characters. Like, he occasionally... there's one other character... I guess technically 2 other characters you see him with, but they're not, main cast characters.
No.
His stuff was filmed on a different day, probably in a different country.
I think he did everything in one day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was a second unit, so maybe they're doing it on the same day, but with 2 different directors.
Oh, shit. That still wouldn't explain his appalling fucking acting. But anyway, yeah. Sorry, I had to oblivion NPC the dad. Because I can just imagine him being like, hi, Jill, and then walking through a bunch of chairs.
I don't really want to... I don't want to spend too much time, harping on this one guy for being bad at acting, but...
No. He's so terrible, it's the fucking best thing in the world.
But you
So
really
fun.
have to understand how transcendentally bad it
he
is. It's
Ev-
Birdemic levels.
It's yeah.
Like, everyone else is kind of bad, but also they're trying. And they're also doing it because they're aspiring actors and they're trying to learn. So you're like, fair enough. You don't want to rip on that because, hell, they're doing more than I'm doing, trying to act or whatever. But this guy
He
is
says
just
having
not...
a full part in TTS, you prick.
But the dad is just not trying. Like, he's just bad and just doesn't care that he's bad.
It feels like he thinks he knows how to do it all, which makes him the worst actor. You know what I mean? So he thinks
I don't feel any guilt about having to go at him for being bad.
No, I mean, it's all in good fun. I'm having a good poke, but yeah. Then we cut to Blondie, who is wandering through the forest.
Her name's Jan.
Okay, so we cut to Jam, and she's wandering through the fucking forest, and she thinks she's being followed. So she's like, oh shit, and she runs a bit, and then she bumps into the Ouija board that now has a pee stain on it, and she's just like, I don't think so, and then just leaves. And it apparently isn't being followed anymore.
I've actually had a thought because from this point on, the Ouija board has like a water stain on it.
It's got a pee stain on it. It's a wee stain.
I mean, you
Ouija
can't
stain.
you can't ascertain that because I actually have a theory.
A PG stain.
I have a theory, which is that the shots where you see the Ouija board at the beach were filmed after all the initial shots with it, and it picked up a water stain from being in the water that they couldn't get out, and so all the shots done afterwards still had that stain because of course they didn't have the money to have more than one made.
Evidently. But yeah.
That's my theory as to why it picks up this mysterious stain for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, sure. And then we cut to the car park that we saw that the movie began with.
Oh, by the way, Jan leaves the Ouija board. She doesn't pick
Yeah,
it
no,
up.
she's just like, this is fucking creepy, and just leaves.
Yeah.
To go get groceries.
Fair.
And then we cut to the car park where a red-headed lady wanders up to Cop. He is never given a name. He is just Cop.
Yeah, he's called. I think officially in the credits, he's just Officer.
Yeah, Officer Cop. Assigned cop at birth. She goes up and she's like, please, my boy is dead. No, she goes up and she's like, oh, please, my daughter's gone missing. She went out for a picnic this morning with a boy. And the officer basically turns around and goes, okay, how long has she been missing? And she's like, 3 hours? And he's like, yeah, you gotta wait till 24. Plus, they're probably fucking. And she's like,
He does
what?
not. He does
No,
not.
I'm paraphrasing.
You're
but
paraphrasing pretty hard.
Yeah, but he's like, well, they're probably having too much.
He insinuates that, but it's nowhere near that blunt. He's like, you know what kids are like, sort of thing. It's a lot more
with the dicking down and the hard fucking.
I think it gives you the wrong impression of the kind of character you're dealing with.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, he gives her his card and he's like, there you go.
The card that is made of pure light because the white balancing went crazy when he was handing the card over, and it's just a pure rectangle of God's
rectangle
light.
Of bloom. It's just you can't. It's just it's like he hands her a light box to blind herself with, because it fucking blinded me. And like she wanders off like, oh, thanks, Officer Cop, and he immediately takes out his phone and calls Drunk Cop.
Wow.
Who is a complete shithead.
You say he calls him. I mean, you can see the home screen on his phone, and he's not calling him.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't actually notice that. They couldn't even afford the budget of him making a phone call.
He couldn't even call directory, like balance inquiry.
Like, can I afford to make a call here? No. You absolutely.
I'm surprised
can't.
he didn't click it and it goes, add the message, add the the little kid phone things where they'd have
You mean using a toy phone?
That's what I said. So yeah, he calls up Drunk Shit Cop who has a really his hair is gross. He needs to comb it because he's a dirty slut and it really pisses me off.
His name's like Jeb.
His name's Jeb, and he's got gross hair that he needs to comb. And there's cool bartender lady who just randomly, she's like a foot taller than him. Because, you go behind a bar, you're raised up above people. Because, you're a better person than that. No. Because it's like a raised floor. And he's like, yeah, Yeah, no, why gotta go there? Ugh! And then they keep dropping, like, in 5 minutes, they drop the fact that they're brothers-in-laws about 8,000 times.
Or twice.
It's more than that. I should have counted. But yeah, and he's like, now, you go out and look for that girl. Otherwise, I'm gonna forget that you're married to my sister and I'm gonna fire your ass. And he's like, yeah, God, fine. Stupid brother-in-law. And hangs up and he looks at the bartender and he's like, that was my brother-in-law who is married. I'm married to his sister, which makes him my brother-in-law. Also, one more pint, please. Also, the sound, the audio in this scene with drunk shit cop is so awful. Oh, it's bad.
Mostly
and he like slams his glass down, and it's just like, well, there goes my fucking eardrums. and she's just like, hey, maybe you want to go check on that missing girl, and he's like, nah. And she's like, you're basically there anyway. It's like 2 minutes around the corner, and he's like, nah, I'm gonna drink some more. And she's like, okay. And he's like, maybe I'll have another drink to piss off my brother-in-law. And then it cuts to like him, like just going and having a piss in the stairwell, because you gotta realize this guy is such a piece of shit. Like, he is so gross. He will pee in an indoor stairwell. He's that type of fucking arsehole. And he gets his wee-wee out and does a pee, and then he hears angry shark growling. And he turns around, and Ouija Shark is just spying on him doing a pee-pee, and then goes to, like, telefrag him, and he gets eaten with he pee-pee out.
Well, the best part about this is that when he gets eaten, it makes a sound like someone's biting into an apple.
Yeah, you know the really, like, the old cartoon kind of, like, like, it makes that fucking noise. It's so funny.
It's amazing, and this scene, the whole thing with the brother-in-law, no purpose to the plot.
No, just
whatsoever.
let's have a shithead cop in there that dies instantly.
It's just, they needed an extra 5 minutes to make the movie be over an hour.
Yeah.
So this bit is here.
Yeah.
It's so unnecessary.
It really is. The next scene is Blondie coming back to the park with a bag of groceries that presumably they couldn't afford, so it's just a big brown paper bag. She turns around and Ghost Shark is just like there. And she's like, oh fuck. And then it aggroes and chases her and she's like, it wants the groceries. So she like fucking yeets the groceries at it and it's just like, no.
It turns out it does not want
It doesn't want
groceries.
vegetables and ramen. It just runs after her and she gets she gets properly Foley munched again with the big comedic crunch noise.
She's another character that gets magnetically attracted to a tree.
Yeah, and then she gets gibbed by the shark. So that's, yeah. Jill then gets a phone call from her dad. He, I quote, this is my notes, he stiffly relays that she needs to find out who the board belonged to because they apparently decided to trap the spirit of a shark in it. I get, some days Netflix just won't cut it, I guess. And she tells him that it's missing, and his response is perfect. He goes, what? Find that board. I'm gonna consult a medium. I'll let you know if I find out more. And it's like, mate, even having a test read of this would be a better reading. Like, this, like when you get a script, you read it and you go, okay, what am I supposed to say? What? Find that board. I'm gonna consult a medium. I'll let you know if I find out more. That was my first fucking read. That is 10,000 times better than fucking Resident Evil NPC Alpha Team Dad.
He also, this is where he starts, talking about how it's obviously... It's, obviously been attracted to Jill because their family has a history with the occult, which makes sense because her dad was, so willing to, just throw down all this research and,
He literally just went onto someone's fucking Angel Fire page. It was literally, 2 steps away from the fucking 3D rendered fire.
Let's not be shitting on Angel Fire pages. I managed to find out information about Sequest DSV thanks to an Angel Fire page 3 days ago. So, fucking, let's not be shit-talking, Angel Fire.
Yeah, but anyway, Dad.mpg states that, she's always denied her family's, dark occult backstory.
This is why I think that she knows more about Ouija boards than she lets on earlier on.
I mean, she absolutely does. And then he's like, hey, could you maybe try and be psychic about it? And she's like, okay, I'll do that, Dad. And then, her friend, Kim goes to, because they're, they're just sitting outside near the pool, and they haven't missed excitable, like, Tiffany, who's literally been fucking the neighbor all night, probably in the car.
Yeah, Tiffany hasn't reappeared
No
again.
one's asked where she's gone. No one cares. They don't mention it. They ask where Weed Girl's gone, and they go, "Oh yeah, she's gone out for it," and gestures to like having a blunt, like she's gone for a run. And they're like, "Oh yeah, she likes her runs," and does like all the weed stuff. So they're not like super worried about her, and they don't even mention Tiffany, who's literally been fucking neighbor all night, and maybe they're jealous or something.
Honestly, when she does come back into the plot, I'm surprised she can fucking walk straight.
I mean, maybe that's why it goes the way it does, but you know.
Oh, maybe, actually, yeah.
She's like, oh, god dang. But yeah, so her friend Kim just goes to, like, get in the pool with her fucking, like, yoga pants on, like a fucking sociopath. And then she starts pointing and screaming at the water, and it turns, there's just an arm in there, and I'm really surprised they didn't notice it earlier.
Yeah, it's an arm with,
It's a
like...
bloodied arm.
And it's...
I would have, like, put a blunt in it.
The thing is...
That's what I would have done.
They instantly somehow know it's Donna's arm.
Weed Girl, yeah.
Weed Girl. And the thing is, we saw her get eaten, and there was no remains.
No blood, no nothing, no body, just... out of existence.
So I'm guessing what happened is Ouija Shark ate her and then pooped out an arm later.
It does. The thing is, I think they only have one body part, which is like the fake arm.
They did have a second piece because there was 2 parts that got thrown at the tree.
Or maybe
earlier.
they had a second arm and then they left it in the woods or something, and
Maybe,
it was like, oh fuck,
maybe.
okay, that'll be fine. But yeah, and while Kim is pointing and screaming, Ouija Shark telefrags her.
Like, just pops up. It's full on, like, you know that bit in Deep Blue Sea where Samuel L. Jackson does a big speech and then just gets killed. And it's great.
Gets launched immediately.
It's
yeah.
like that, but with no build-up.
Yeah.
Just this character you expect to have some kind of, like...
No.
Like, the character
Just
who's...
no ceremony at all.
The character who's the actual friend of Jill just gets killed with zero ceremony.
Fucking drunk shithead cop gets more fucking, like, to his death than she does.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what? Okay, I guess Kim's just dead now. Or she's been banished to the Shadow Realm, I guess. And so Jill's like, fuck this, and she just turns on her heels and runs. And just as she's running out, she bumps into fucking Car Washer.
Tiffany.
Yeah, Car Washer. And then she's like, oh, what did I miss? And she's like, we need to fucking run. And she's like, well, I guess we're running now. Then Officer Cop is like, damn, I wonder where my brother-in-law is. And he wanders through the woods and he finds the bag of groceries that Blondie left. Jill and Tiffany, they run through the woods and like, Tiffany starts, like, negging the story. She's like...
Ghost sharks? Who even knew that was a thing?
Yeah, because, like, she literally, like... And this is the thing, right? Tiffany was being banged... It was like, she was fucking all night. She wasn't there for the Ouija board. She wasn't there for any of this.
Tiffany was away living her best life.
She was going, getting railed and living the high life. You know, more power to her. And, like, fucking Jill's like, so, you know, we did this Ouija board and there's a shark in it. And she's like, a ghost shark? That's weird. How do you even come up with that? And it's like, okay.
I don't know. I think Tiffany's, like, weirdly on board to just accept this because at this point, we don't actually...
Maybe she's been fucked senseless.
There's no actual
and
implication.
she's just like, she's like, the afterglow is so strong. She's like, yeah, okay, whatever.
But at this point,
yeah, there's a ghost shark. That's great.
At this point, there's no implication that she has even seen the shark.
No, she hasn't. She's just like, oh yeah, no. There's a ghost shark.
I guess there's a Ouija shark now.
I guess there's a Ouija shark. That's yeah, let's do that. That's fine. And then and then Jill's like, I hear something, and then they crouch next to the tree that they're hiding in front of.
Yep.
And they look up, and like the camera is pointed directly at the sky, and you just see a shark pass over it, like a big silhouette of a shark pass over it. And I swear to God, I had to pause it because I was laughing. It's like, oh, so it can't look down?
I mean,
okay, sure. I guess.
Yeah, it travels like, I'm going to go 2 meters above their heads, maybe, if that.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's just flying about like, oh, I guess they're not 2 meters, they're not floating 2 meters off the air. It can speak English to people who it's trying to kill and spell out the word hungry, but it can't look down.
I mean, admittedly, we don't know if it can speak English. All we know is that it can spell one word, hungry.
Do you think it's like infinite monkeys, infinite typewriters, but it's like infinite Ouija boards, infinite ghost sharks?
It just got really lucky.
It's got really lucky.
And spelled out something thematic.
Yeah. and it just happened to relate. But yeah, so that's really funny. And then they run in opposite directions because Tiffany's phone, like, goes off, and the shark's like, ooh, I looked down for 2 seconds and I found you. So they run apart, and then she just is on the ground. She doesn't really fall. She just kind of, like, just sits down on the floor. Like, Tiffany's just like, well, I guess I'm sitting down now. And she's like, Tiffany, get up and run. She's like, no, you run, it'll be fine. And then she gets immediately murdered. They're just immediately murdered. So then Jill, like, runs to her fucking car and is like, she has her hands on, like, the fucking boot, and she's like, let's fucking do this. And then she has, like, a suiting up montage that is ruined by her moving around on the gravel. It is louder than the music, and you're like, you could have, you know what, I would have audio edited that for you. As a deaf person, I could have done a better job. And like, you know, so she's got a big black boots on and she's got a leather jacket.
Yeah, my note for this is, it's jacket time.
It's leather jacket time. Now, I actually was quite interested in the weapon she pulls out, because she pulls out quite a small look, like it's quite a stubby looking tactical shotgun. And I was like...
Which would definitely be to Ghost, you know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I got quite interested in this, because I was like, that doesn't look familiar. So I start looking around, and I find out that it is an AGM airsoft shotgun that is based off a company's called Tokyo Marui Spaz 12 model, which is like a toy, kind of like a more kind of compact version of the Spaz that everyone knows, the tactical shotgun and everything. So it's like, it's based off something that's based off like a proper...
Okay.
Yeah. And... you can get... Okay, so, like, it comes with, like, holographic sight. It has a pistol grip and all this kind of stuff. It is quite stubby. You can tell it's been well-loved because the pump is just... The paint is fucked. And I like that. I like that. I found it for sale in Canada, and it's literally 25 Canadian dollars. And apparently it's shit.
Well, I mean, if you're going to spend, what, like... 15 quid on like an airsoft gun, yeah, it's probably not going to be great.
And they bought the sight extra. We
know where the other $100 went.
No, the sight probably cost them about 15 quid as well, to be fair, because apparently everything about it is horrible. But yeah, that just really amused me, because I sent it to Longfang, because he's a gun nut, and I was like, hey man, help me identify this gun. And he was like, yeah, that looks like... Because I was like, I'm torn between a Canuck, which is like that's obviously a Canadian shotgun.
Yes.
Obviously. Fucking, what else would it be? And I was like, that's too long. And I think it might be an airsoft, because a lot of things like that, and like you know, are illegal. Like, you can't get that. And just, it's just straight up an airsoft that costs them 25 Canadian dollars. And that just made me laugh. And she, like, cocks it and is like, yeah.
And I like how you spent all that time researching it for something that is functionally pointless to the plot.
It's fine. I just paused on it. I was like, I don't recognize that. That's a weird looking thing. So I thought it was interesting. Anyway, so she cocks a shotgun and turns around, and there's just a spooky robed dude that's like, sup? And she's like, holy fuck, you scared me. And then he's like, he speaks in this fucking echoey, esoteric voice that she doesn't really seem to give a fuck about. And I had real trouble, even, like I say, with my hearing aids in and everything, I had real trouble trying to figure out what this guy said. I had to watch it a few times, and he's talking about, like, how the Ouija board is possessed by the shark, and how it's controlled by the Ouija board.
Okay, I should probably fill in, because I actually heard what he said for the most part.
I mean, you have functional hearing, so...
Yeah, so just to kind of clarify, this guy... It has got an effect on his voice. This kind of like
echoey kind of thing.
He's got some kind of the word's falling out of my head now.
Echo?
It's not an echo.
Reverb.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for. I should fucking know that. I'm a guitarist. Jesus fucking Christ.
I mean, you did know it. You just forgot the word.
But he's got this weird reverb effect on it. But it's like mixed so low, he's like half the volume at his loudest of every other character in the movie.
Yeah.
And because it's like so distorted, it's legit really hard to hear what he's saying. And there's some parts I literally don't know what he's saying.
No.
But for the most part, he's basically saying, I was the one who created the board. I trapped the shark in there.
Didn't expect this man-eating murder machine to be such a hassle. Oopsie doodle.
So yeah, you've got to get it like back into the board. That's how you're going to beat it. And I don't. And yeah.
And it's just going to keep killing until you trap it back on the Ouija board.
Yeah. And then the shark flies over again.
And he's gone.
And he disappears, leaving the Ouija board behind.
I'm honestly shocked that you didn't hear like gravel, like as he was like running out of shot. That would have been really funny. And then we cut back to the fucking dad, who's, oh my god, this woman. So like when Bela Lugosi in The Wolfman has a more nuanced performance as a fucking fortune teller than you. You need to rethink your life.
So yeah,
she's got a headscarf on, and she's like really groping this weird coloured light bulb. It's supposed to be a crystal ball, but it's just got like teal.
Not.
It's just got like, you know, Christmas lights that keep changing colour. It's just got those in them.
It's just a big LED.
I
just a big LED.
do have a defense of them here. So
No.
yeah, so like they've obviously like set up this thing to look like the inside of a tent, like you know, for like a, you know, for it to be a medium reading things. Now, do you know how much a crystal ball costs?
I was going to say,
I
the
know.
big
My
LED
mother
probably
used to
costs
have a
50p.
bunch.
Yeah, it costs hundreds of pounds for an actual
No.
crystal ball.
Like I say, my mother had one.
Yeah.
She got it gifted to her by a rich person.
Yeah.
It was like I think it would have cost back in the day, like it was like $650, and it was literally like, it was the size of like a baseball, a little bit bigger than that.
So I'm not going to blame them for buying the cheapest novelty one they
That's
can.
completely fine. Like, you know, I would have just personally got a bowling ball because I think it's funnier, and
It would have
definitely
been-
cheaper.
It would have been as realistic.
Yeah, and she's like doing the, oh, Anthony, the spirits swell around your aura. And he goes, you can say the dramatics for the rubes.
Yeah, I love that line.
It's just like,
I love
it's
that line
so
so
bad.
much.
It's just like, okay, yeah, no, I guess she can. I guess she can say the dramatics for the rubes. Because he delivers it with literally no emotion. And if there is an emotion, it is something that we are too feeble-minded to pick up. If we could understand it, it would truly turn us mad. That is eldritch acting powers. And I ain't about it. But yeah, and like, she's like, okay, your daughter's in danger and she's being hunted by a big shark. And he's like, hey, can I help in any way? And she's like, maybe. I will, however, use my powers to distract the shark. But it will, like... It's a really specific thing. She's like, I'll distract it. But then if it starts moving towards us, before I break my like connection to the crystal ball, then it will come and murder us. And he's like, okay, that's fine. And then it cuts back to Jill wandering around the woods, and the shark is just like, it like pops down from above her, and it's like, hey, I managed to work out this looking down thing. And she fires two excessively over-the-top shots at it and legs it. And the shark's doing the awesome chase cam thing again. And then just as it's about to like clamp its ghost jaws onto her, she holds up the Ouija board and it goes, "Ah!" and just disappears. And she's like, I guess that worked.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I didn't expect that to work, you know?
Yeah. So then she's like, oh, fuck. And then she runs off to a random cabin in the middle of the forest and just hides in it while leaving the screen door open, which shits me no end, let me tell you. Then it cuts to Officer Cop, where he's like, brr, it's cold. Ah. And my notes literally say here, because he's like, God, it's unnaturally cold. And it's like, it is filmed in Canada. The definition of Canada is that it's unnaturally cold.
I mean, in fairness, like, Canada also, in certain places, also gets fucking hot as well. Canada's a strange place.
It is. It is a place of extremes. Then it cuts back to the psychic and the dad, and she's like, oh yeah, I can't distract it because it would put us in danger. Even though she just said she was going to. So dad, yoinks the crystal ball without, busting the LEDs somehow. and just starts just smack talking the shark.
He's like, I got fresh meat for you.
Ah, dinner's ready, you son of a... And then it jumps out, and... Does it fight him? It kind of just like...
I'll tell you what, let's...
It mauls him a bit.
Let's, Matthew, could you please describe this scene? Because I feel that it's something that we're having trouble... articulating.
At this point, my notes went out.
Wow, really? Do you just stop taking notes?
No. There's just a gap. I think I got distracted by the acting. I was focusing too much on the bad acting of the dad
That is
to pay attention to
completely
what the plot was
understandable.
doing. I get that the shark got him, but I can't remember exactly how.
Okay. Let me try and recount this. So
I'm sorry to disappoint.
it looks for a few seconds like the shark is trying to eat the crystal ball, and he keeps snatching it away while screaming and looking in the bottom corners of stuff.
Because the shark keeps coming out at him
At
from
the
different
left and
angles.
the right. So it's just like, you know that scene from Army of Darkness where Bruce Campbell falls over and there's a bunch of skeleton hands fucking with him and like giving him wet willies, and then he puts his hands up so he can't get poked in the eyes, and then just two hands come in? That's this scene, but with one Ouija shark.
Yeah.
And then it just kills him. And then the psychic looks over and just goes, Mama told me there'd be days like this. And it's just like,
I love it. I fucking
especially
love it.
because she's really not a good actress either, so it's just like, whoa, okay. But yeah, so the cops wandering through the woods, and the sharky's stalking him, and the sharky goes, like, the ghost shark goes full ACAB and just goes for him, and like the cop starts shooting at him and then just runs away and starts banging frantically on the cabin that Jill's just gone in. And just as the cop gets in, she shuts the door, and the shark stops dead at the door and is like, fuck.
Because I can't go through things anymore, even though I literally killed someone in a stairwell where you physically see it pass through the concrete.
It's fine. I literally, my
But
note
have
here,
you considered that a big wooden door is basically just a big Ouija board?
it's just like a big proto Ouija board.
Yeah,
When you think about it,
exactly.
all surfaces are just Ouija boards waiting to happen.
I mean, you saw the film Ouija House, and it
they
turns
just
out...
drew that on a woman, and then they just force-fed her a planchette that they'd sellotape to their hands.
Yeah, so that proved that anything can be a Ouija board if you try hard enough. And if Ouija boards do distract them. So does that mean that, like, if you... I don't know, like... If you had, like, how far does this go? Does it have to be, like, a flat thing? Does it have to have all the letters on? Like, if you got a child's building block that had letters written on it, would that be enough to push the shark back?
I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
But yeah, I will read verbatim my notes here because, yeah. Angry Sharky glares through the window in barely concealed fury as sharks, and especially those of the ghost variety, are unable to open doors or windows. But they can speak English and communicate with human beings.
Yeah.
Once they're dead. Only once they're dead, though.
Yeah.
So Jill's like, oh, quick, we need to use the Ouija board, but we don't have a planchette. So Officer Cop just slams his handgun down and goes, use this.
Yeah,
which
why
is
not
the most...
gun?
Yeah, that's such an American solution to a Canadian problem. Am I right?
Yeah.
Quick, use gun. And like Dad JPEG comes through and is like, I love you, daughter. And she's like, Dad! And then it spells out like, I love you, and then goodbye. And
What I
she's
most like is that when she's moving the gun around as the planchette, you can see where all the paint on the end of the gun, because it's
also another airsoft,
Yeah.
and they have like orange tips.
yeah, it's an orange tip, so you can't mistake it for a real gun. But they've painted that over, so it looks like for the
Yeah.
movie, but you can see how it's all chipped off around the edge.
It's pretty fun. And like, she's like, oh god. And then... And then it cuts to the dad standing in a green screen with clouds behind him.
This is the film.
This is the peak of the film.
Just as you thought, it was like, okay, I'm on board with this film, and I know
Yeah.
I'm at its level, and I know what's happening. This scene.
I'll let you explain it. So dad.gif, etc. Go on, Matthew. You know you want to.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got the dad, and he's standing in an obvious green screen in front of like clouds or whatever, and he's obviously like in heaven or the afterlife or something.
Or he's just like 2 miles in the air,
Yeah,
which is
could
where
be
dead
funny.
people
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
apparently.
And he's like, and he says, I haven't wrote down the actual quotes, but the dialogue in essence is like, "Oh, I'm dead. That means you can't hurt me anymore." And it cuts to the shark, and the shark is obviously like, "Well, you think this, but have you seen my apparent laser ball breath?"
It
shark now
Kamehameha's the dad, and he's like, hey!
I just love the whole, you can't hurt me now, fireball. Ow!
He literally just like you've slapped a kid in the playground. He's like, hey, no.
But it's okay though, because the shark goes to do it again, and then Dad says, "Well, how about I try my psychic? Was it a psychic shield? He calls
Occult
it
training.
Mystic shield.
occult training." And then he just looks at the camera and goes, waves his arms about a bit, and goes, "Mystic shield."
And then he blocks the shark's fireball.
With his two like spinny light discs that appear around his hands.
Like a knockoff Doctor Strange.
It's very Doctor Strange. And then like he fires the shield back at the shark and it cracks him in the face, and the shark's like, dude, ow. And it's just like, and then
It's just out of nowhere.
And then this is my favourite part. Then the dad just starts like screaming, and then he runs at the shark, and then it's a zoomed out picture of the clouds, and just a firework explosion goes off.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm sorry, I had to rewind.
I had to rewind this scene.
because
I
it
was
was
like, "Wait, what?"
so good.
No one can only watch this scene once. It's so out of nowhere.
It was the funniest shit I have ever seen. I gotta use my occult training. Mystic shield! And the shark's like, bleh. Because it doesn't even, like, the shark doesn't do anything. It just goes, bleh. And then, like, a yellow laser ball comes out of its mouth. But yeah, honestly, watch this movie just for the dad getting hit with the laser shark ball and going, hey. It's like, I'm telling mom. It's so fucking funny.
This scene was
Because it's like
best.
he's just punched it, like, it's like the shark's just like fucking punched him in the arm, and he's like, now I've got a dead arm. It's so funny. But yeah, shall I continue? Because the story, like, we're nearly done.
We're nearly done. We're nearly done.
Nearly done. So it cuts back to the cabin, and oh no, Dad, like Kamehame Dad, didn't kill the shark. It's back, and it's mad, and it's poking through the door because it can just do that now. So she like shoots it after calling it like a fish-faced motherfucker.
I think I did write it. What is it?
Like, eat
fuck
this.
She says, "Fuck you, fish face."
Okay,
what she
whatever.
says.
I liked mine better. But,
Remember that quote. It's important.
Yeah.
It is. And then she shoots it and nothing fucking happens. And she's like, oh. And then she looks at the Ouija board and goes, this is for my dad, you douche.
You aquatic douche.
Which, you know, I mean, douches are typically...
That's implied, but...
Yeah. So, like, she shoots the Ouija board and then it goes and ceases to exist.
Yeah, it gets shot and jump cuts away because they couldn't afford to, like, actually explode the board. Because the budget of this film was £175.
Yeah, which is, like, fair. And then, like, Officer Cop and Jill are like, let's go. And then they're like, I could use a drink. And Jill's like...
The shark does disappear at this point.
It does, yeah, it's disappeared.
It fades away
Yeah,
into
yeah.
nothing.
And then, like, they leave the cabin, and, like, as they're leaving, the cop's like, I could use a drink, and Jill's like, I could use 6. And some sushi! And then the cop kind of just, like gestures, like, whoa! And it's like...
Too soon.
It's like, too soon. But you don't... Shark sushi is... Okay. I get
Why
what
are you
you're
making
doing.
jokes and quips? Your dad just died. What's happening?
It's like your dad just died in Kamehameha, a fucking shark in the sky.
That's why she's okay with it, because she knows that her dad went out as the ultimate badass.
As a Doctor Strange knockoff that got fucking dead-armed by a shark.
I honestly, when I die, I want to go out like that. Like if I go out,
If you go out, okay.
if I go out fighting a ghost shark that's firing fireballs at me, and then I start like doing psychic shields, and then we just explode into a corona of light in the sky, then really, that's a life well lived.
Fantastic. But
You need to
anyway...
get on your occult training.
I do need to get my occult
You
training.
need to get.
yeah.
I mean, I've had plenty of that, but that's another story for a different podcast. They leave the cabin, And the camera pans up to the top window. And the rogue figure is seen walking down I don't know why this fixated me so bad. Walking down the plush carpeted stairs.
It does focus on those stairs.
Those stairs look really plush and comfortable.
I don't know. You are right. There's something about
that carpet.
That framing really made me pay attention to the fact that those stairs were carpeted.
I know.
And
Trauma Matt, was this just us?
No, totally.
Yeah, it's a really weird shot. We can't really explain it, but you notice that he's moving, but your attention is focused on how soft the carpet
I feel
is.
like the director had two aims in this film overall. One, he wanted to film aspiring actresses in bikinis in his pool, and two, he wanted to show off about how nice his staircase was.
Yeah, and
I
to be
think
fair,
that was his two aims for the film, and he did both things.
Honestly,
So,
that carpet looked fucking lush. Yeah. It looked like it would be really comfy.
This is the same robed figure from earlier, by the way.
Yeah, this is the same rogue figure. And he goes down and throws the Ouija board onto a couch, and then then they have a Metal Gear Solid ending where he phones the fucking president. And this bit is so... I don't like using this word, but it is really cringy because it's just not funny.
I would dramatically prefer this film if it just ended at the end rather than having this extra scene.
Yeah, I mean, if it just ended with his yes, all the trials are going. Yes, sir. We'll move on to Ouija Shark Phase 2. It's if it just ended like that would be fine.
Yeah, or just none of that at all, to be honest. But
and the president is Trump, and it's you see kind of it focuses on his mouth, and he's got a Make America Great Again hat next to the phone, and it's a really bad impersonation, and it's just oh yeah, the experiment can go worldwide, it'll be huge, and it's oh, this is awful.
Okay, I do have some points here. I became a little fascinated with this scene. So the actual so they go through the whole thing of oh yes, the mission accomplished. The experiment went well.
I mean, what? I mean, again, it's like a Resident Evil plot. Umbrella are we're gonna share bioweapons that are basically uncontrollable. Hey, Umbrella, why? Good question.
Yeah.
We choose not to answer it.
But the point is, so yeah, you go through a thing of yes, so soon we can, the mission is accomplished, the experiment's gone well, we can move this on to go worldwide, and then Trump goes, excellent, prepare phase 2 of Operation Ouija Shark, it's gonna be huge, and then he laughs. Now, every part about this scene fascinates me, not least because it's just horrible.
It is terrible.
But so one is that this movie was actually filmed in 2017. I think they would probably felt that it was maybe a little bit. It wasn't quite as apparent to quite as many people what a fascist grifter he was.
Well, I mean, he hadn't killed a lot of people at that point.
Not as many.
Well, you know what I mean? It's kind of because I remember seeing the shift on Reddit.
So, I'm not going to sit there and say, because, when you look at it from a 2020 perspective, you're this might be the person that completely destroys America's flimsy grasp on democracy.
But anyway, we're moving on. Ouija Shark.
No, I have a point. So, I understand why people might not, why that comes across as maybe maybe you shouldn't use this awful human being as a joke ending. But this movie was filmed several years ago, so it wasn't quite as immediate, so I don't really mind that. But, every part about it is fascinating because they've got one guy playing Trump, and, they've got terrible makeup on him. You don't clearly see him.
I thought it was more of they have a bit of makeup on him to make him look a little bit orange, and then they have, a filter on him to make him look more orange.
I think, they gave him, the orange skin, and they gave him, white lips and things to really, hammer home his bizarre look. But he's also dubbed by a separate person, so and because they focus on his mouth, it's really obvious that he's being ADR.
I just wish that the dad had played him.
Oh yeah.
Hi, I'm President Trump.
And it's a the thing is, I don't know why they had two different people, because the person you'd expect to do that if the person ADRing it had a really good Trump impersonation. He doesn't.
No.
And the whole thing is filmed in a really bad green screen. And the phone that they use is a really ancient, Baker-like one from the 50s.
Yeah, it's What?
Next, like, so that's like weirdly old, and I think this is an intentionally like touch, but he doesn't have a little America pin on his lapel. It's a Captain America's shield like button,
Okay, that's funny.
which I thought was just funny. And of course, that when after he laughs, the film does end on the word Finn.
Which
Which-
that brought me
yeah.
back into it. I was like,
Yeah.
fucking nicely done.
That is, my comment for this is just noise. But that is...
That was fun.
Yeah.
And also, I will say, my secret favorite part of the credits here was it goes through all the people and the footage.
Are you going to comment what I think you're going to comment on?
I think I am.
Okay,
where it's
go
like
on.
so and so as Tiffany and stuff, and then it goes Ouija shark as Ouija shark, and I loved that. I had to pause it. I was laughing because
Were you
it would have been great if it was like, and introducing Ouija shark as himself.
Introducing, yeah.
Were
No,
you
my
going to
comments was going to be on... Did you notice who was credited as location sound and post sound?
Yes.
who was that?
Location sound was Mike Road, and post sound was Mike Hawk. Road mics are the mics they presumably used, and Hawk mics are another kind of mic. They're not people, they're the sort...
Good.
Mike
No,
Hawk sounds
Hawk
like
mics
Mike
is a brand
Hawk.
of mics, and Road mics is a brand of mics. I love it.
I know, but it still sounds like sound by Mike Hawk.
Depends on your accent.
Well, I mean, Mike Hawk.
Yeah, okay, no, I can... Yeah,
See,
okay, I'll do that.
You see the
sound by Mike Hawk.
You see, the one that I noticed was...
See, that's the one I thought Drama Matt was going to say.
Yeah, was that the production assistant was a Mr. Tim H. Orton.
In case you didn't know, it was in Canada.
Yeah.
Tim Horton.
Yeah, okay, so
okay.
for anyone
I
who doesn't know,
didn't notice that
Tim Hortons is kind of like, it is an institution of Canadian society. It's a coffee place. It's like, it's kind of like a Starbucks kind of thing.
And donuts.
And
Lots of
donuts. They do nice donuts. Apparently. I know Longfang's obsessed with Timbits. So, yeah.
And then we also get the theme tune for Ouija Shark.
Shark, do. I wish.
It's not. It's like a little kind of like. It actually reminds me of like a knockoff Misfits song.
Is it because they're really trying to have a Misfits song?
Yeah, it's got a kind of Misfitsy vibe to it. It's not. Not a lot of money was spent recording it. It's by a band, like I mentioned it earlier. It's by a band called Goat. You'll have heard a little bit of it at the start of this when
And the T-shirt that the main character was wearing
Yeah.
throughout the
Who
whole
she
film.
doesn't change throughout the whole film, and it's like, girl, change your fucking shirt.
no one changes clothes in this.
The only reason the band wrote the song for them is that if she wore the T-shirt for the whole film, that's like
Maybe.
that's how they got paid.
Now she just looks like a stinky lady.
The fun thing is, of course, that the band is called Goat, and it is literally impossible to find out like anything about them because there's like 70 bands named Goat, and finding which
and
one
you know,
it is.
greatest of all time and everything as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, go listen to the song at least. It's a fun song.
Okay, I have to mention this real quick. I got an email from one of my fitness advisors today, Bill, who the boxer,
Yeah.
and he literally started it with a quote from Rocky Balboa.
Good.
And I was like, my man, you know what I'm about. So yeah, I just thought that was really, really funny.
So, we've now been through Ouija Shark, and I now want to go kind of round table here, and I want to
Then we need to sit on the grass.
I want to ask everyone. Yeah, I want to ask everyone what their honest opinions of Ouija Shark was. I'm going to ask Matt first because he's not spoken
Okay.
much. So, Matthew.
Oh, can I also quickly, before we move on, comment about how slow the credits scroll by, just because they blatantly wanted to add a bit more length? Like, they're the slowest scrolling credits I've ever seen. It's amazing.
mean, like, fair, but
It's
yeah,
like
it was a bit obvious.
It's like the credit scroll on a PS1 game where,
Yeah.
like, there's 5 people that made it, so like, oh, we've got to stretch this out.
Yeah. Okay, my honest thoughts of the film. I think I have conflicting feelings, mostly because of that very last scene. I think if it didn't have that last scene, that last bit, I would unashamedly say that I really enjoyed this film and I would recommend people to watch it. Like, it is bad. I'm not saying it's good, and it is entertaining because it's bad, but it's not like you're watching it and you're like enjoying it because it's so cringy bad. Like, it is just funny. Like,
It is just really funny, and
it's
like,
just a really like a good time watching it, and it's only an hour, so you don't have to waste like 2.5 hours watching it or something. And it's just it's entertaining, and yeah, it is terrible, but I don't know.
That's
it's
what
not,
makes it. I find it.
Yeah, it's
charming.
It's not cynical about. They're not like, I don't know. It's just, yeah, they're just. It comes across as, I don't know if it's true, but it just comes across as everyone involved is just like trying their best, and they're a bit crap, but that's quite endearing. And yeah, I think it's good. I think it's great. I think everyone should go and watch it, especially because it's like, yeah, on YouTube for free. Like, yeah, go and watch it.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. But yeah, that last scene made me sort of slightly hesitate to recommend it, just 'cause it's just
that last scene really
so
is
awkward
quite poor.
and just out of place, and you come from such a high with the like psychic
Sky
mystic
Dad ghost
shield
fight.
ghost fight thing. Yeah, it's
With
such a high
shark
that it could end on.
fireballs.
Yeah, it's so good, and then it drops so far. It's such a shame. But aside from that, I genuinely enjoyed this, and not even like ironically.
Yeah, no, I get. Yeah, Snipe. What you got? Anything to add to that?
Honestly, I've got the same kind of feeling, but yeah, that end scene is really bad. It's just,
I don't know. Are they trying to like take the piss, or are
I think they were.
to,
I think they were actively trying to be funny, and it just it fell so flat. And especially given like through a 2020 lens, it's just I couldn't find it funny anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like honestly, the rest of it is so. Like I said earlier, like it's very charming because you can tell that it's people are trying hard, and it's not like they're taking it super duper seriously, but they're committing as much as they can, and they know what it is, and it's just I found it very enjoyable. End part notwithstanding, the dad is such a legendarily bad actor. He's so worth it. It's so worth it just for the fight at the end with the fucking shark.
Yeah.
So, I guess I'm dead. Because literally that scene starts out with him just punching the shark a lot.
Yeah, they're like wrestling at the
they're
start.
They're having like a proper wrestle. And then he just stops and goes, wait, you can't hurt me anymore. And then it's just like it throws a fucking fireball at him. And he's just... His reaction is perfect.
I just love how...
It is so fucking... You couldn't try and make that funnier. You would ruin it if you tried to make that funny.
It basically becomes like... It really reminded me of like a 2010 like Channel Awesome unnecessarily long skit bit.
No, because it was funny and people involved were enjoying themselves.
Yeah, but like the level of like quality of everything. But you know, it was like fully in context and just it was so...
It was really enjoying hamming it up, and
it was
you could tell
fun
there was fun there, and that scene worked so perfectly. It was so fucking stupid. Oh, sorry, carry on.
I found out a little bit of information related to this. So the dad actor, is called John Miglior. I don't know how you pronounce that. We were talking about how the scenes with him seem to be like filmed somewhere completely separate. He is the second unit director.
Oh.
So he just directed himself. And the second unit camera is just his family.
Oh my god!
There's an Angela, Nicholas, and Sabrina. It's blatantly just like his partner and kids or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say that all of his shots were with a static camera, so it's possible he just set the camera up and filmed himself for a lot of things.
There's 4 people credited as second unit camera.
But
it is just his family.
Wanted them on a paycheck or wanted to get them like screen credits or something. It's probably some weird kind of nepotistic thing. Who knows with fucking Alpha Team Dad. Holy shit. But yeah, I would say end scene shit. The rest of it is thoroughly enjoyable. What about you, Wibblet?
Now, I'm not as turned off by the end scene as the pair of you, because like it's ridiculous, silly nonsense.
It's like in like fucking like disaster movie where someone starts doing the Gangnam Style. It's that level of cringe for me.
Like to me, it was like it was sort of like a natural extension of all the rules of the universe being shattered by Ghost Shark psychic dad fight.
Okay.
But yeah, it's why I said, you know, like given modern day context, maybe not great. But yeah, it was made in 2017 and released this year. I thought it's a movie that I wouldn't necessarily recommend anyone go watch, but if you've got like an hour spare. And
definitely worth it.
And I think overall, I think the movie did a really good job of taking itself exactly as seriously as necessary. So it didn't go full comedy all the time. Like it had a few jokes and things and a few fourth wall breaking moments. But for the most part, it tried to maintain a consistent universe, but then would just then shatter it with Ghost Dad and things like that. And I think it sort of meant that it ended up with quite a fun relationship with reality. Like it took itself the exact right amount of seriously, I think. I felt anyway. And I've seen like a handful of movies like this that are obviously made for, like, when you're talking about a movie, £175 is not a budget.
That's not even that's not even catering for the day.
At that point you need to pick hairs about, are we claiming expenses on the fuel to get to set, because that's a significant proportion of the budget of the film.
Or like, oh shit, we broke the prop shotgun because you need to have spares and shit. It's like, okay, this is busted, or oh no, we need this type of makeup, we need this fake blood. It's like that is some seriously impressive budgeting they've got there.
Like, to put it in like very real terms, there are videos that we've made that, though some of the really expensive books we've covered in Codex Compliant, we've been very lucky and we've been sent them. They cost people more than this movie cost.
Yeah.
So that episode cost more than
Ouija Shark
did. So...
And we didn't have a big fucking model shark, and I'm starting to regret that decision.
Yeah, maybe that's it. We just need to put in a big shark. And like, yeah, they sort of like played up to how shitty the shark puppet was.
I love how it was this kind of... It would just be shown hovering over places, being such an obvious fucking puppet.
And they used it for like the smash cut to it where it's hovering over the pool. That is meant as a joke. You're not supposed to take that as threatening. That's a joke.
He's just
and
like,
it lands.
So it fucking lands so hard.
There are a few parts that I do think the amateur nature of it does harm the film. Like the conversation between cop and cop.
Drunk cop.
And shit cop.
An axe cop.
I think that conversation is so badly edited that it's... Because like there's lots of weird gaps and time where it completely ruins the flow of it, and it's not like a funny bad thing. It's just badly
it's just not
done.
Well done. Yeah.
It's one of those things where me as a video editor, I'm watching that and going like, if you cut like in total 4 seconds of just dead air at the end of things there, then it would like that whole scene would flow more smoothly.
Well, I mean, there's the whole I can't remember what the actual thing is. But there's an editing trick where what I think they should have done is cut to Officer Cop and still have the audio playing. So that helps bridge the gap between the two scenes.
That's called those things. You can do them either way of having the audio linger or preempt, and they're J cuts and L cuts.
J cuts and L cuts.
I get to show that I do actually know a little bit about video editing now.
I knew it was a thing, but I also didn't know what it was called. Yeah. The only thing I know the name of is the Kuleshov effect. So, but yeah, and just I think that would have massively helped that scene. I mean, it was still, the audio editing was fucking appalling. Just because you could tell the bar was fucked. I wouldn't have said ADR it, but honestly, the audio was that poor. I probably would have gone for it because it was that unsalvageable.
I think that's the other thing is because like the special effects are obviously really cheap and the acting's very amateur in places, but like those things are kind of charming. But yeah, like how bad the audio is because it's if a character's like made jump or something, it peaks like an absolute bastard, and it's horrible. Like I think there's definitely some things in there which, like for the most part, it's not like Birdemic territory where the audio in that is horrifying. But there are definite times where there's especially the robed character with the effect they've got on his voice, you literally can't understand what he's saying. I had to turn the volume up super high and listen.
I couldn't understand a word.
Yeah, and listen really carefully, and I picked out most of what he said. And there's still some bits, and basically, if a car drives past your house whilst he's talking, you're not hearing anything he says because you have to listen that carefully.
Yeah.
But I think apart from those little things, it's just kind of fun.
It's just silly fun.
Yeah. I was expecting to go into it and watch one of those movies that is obviously made by a group of friends. And whilst you can see they're having fun, and you're like, well, this isn't, this had zero budget, like whatever. But I was not expecting it to actually have like a kind of vaguely coherent kind of plot to it, and have moments of actually kind of like genuine kind of like, okay, that was actually really fun. This is by a long shot the best of this kind of movie I've seen.
Yeah, no, same.
Because every other movie of this sort of level I've seen has been basically unwatchable.
Yeah.
And you only watch to support like
Small
like film like creators and things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked it. I will say I broadly liked it, but I wouldn't necessarily suggest anyone watch it. But if you do want to watch it, it's only an hour long, so you ain't losing much of your day. And there's definitely worse things you could watch. That'll take you an hour.
Oh, easily.
So yeah.
Like Crofts.
Crufts is in the dog show.
Yeah. That fucking sucks, dick.
I mean, you're true. That's right, but also that was the where what?
Well, there's like worse things you can spend an hour watching, like Crufts, which is one of the worst things you can ever fucking watch in your life. It's so fucking shit. It's like, oh yes, look at this border collie.
It was just
fantastic.
I think
Just out of nowhere. I get your point, but just okay.
Dude, you've known me for over a decade. My life is non sequiturs. Why is this surprising you?
But
also,
yeah,
I've only had 4 hours sleep, and I've had 2 full like strength coffees today, and I've walked like 5 miles, and I haven't done my exercises yet.
It's been a weird day.
It's been a very weird day.
So we won't do questions this time, because this is a very special episode. We'll answer any questions that have been sent in since last time in the next episode.
Yeah, and also if you want to get a belated spooky question in, feel free.
Yes. So I guess we'll say Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, the best like Happy Halloween, which is literally the month of October and the best month in the entire year. I fucking love it so much.
And we hope that the world isn't too depressing and scary for you, because it's a bad time.
Yeah, so we're sending spooky hugs.
So spooky hugs.
And lots of candy if you like.
And would we give Ouija Shark the MisanthroPod seal of all right?
I will give it the
yeah, it is.
shark of all right.
The shark of all. Oh, because it's a seal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, I'm glad you were there to explain that, because I had no idea
You
what
know
you were
what?
talking
No,
about.
I'm going to go one better. I thought it was jawsome.
It was Joe-K. Let's be honest.
It was jaw right.
It was Jaw right. Jaw right. There we go.
Jaw
Jaw
right
right.
works.
There we go.
Yeah. Right.
Fucking, we've done it.
Yeah.
Podcast
Yeah.
over. That's as good as it's getting.
Thanks for joining us, and happy Halloween, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.